So, welcome to Authors Radio, amplifying voices inspiring the world. I'm your host, Alba Mireles, and I'm absolutely delighted to welcome today's guest, JJ Winston, the author of the book titled The Revelation. We're here to celebrate your creativity and explore the world you crafted in this book. JJ, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, we're also excited. And before we dive into your book and let's get to know the person behind the words. Uh,
Okay.
can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey as a writer?
Well, I am a licensed independent social worker who has both a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in social work. And then I'm also a licensed attorney in the state of Ohio. And for 19 years, I was the behavioral health advocate for people who are living with mental health and drug and alcohol struggles here in my community. And my novels, I really wanted to use them as a vehicle to really raise awareness about mental health. And then after my first novel, I wanted to add a couple of more themes that are important to me. And that is sickle cell disease, because I have a child that lives with that, and also human trafficking, because in my state, human trafficking is really, really big.
Yeah, and every author has like inspirations that shape their work. And what drew you into writing, and who or what inspired you along the way?
I am an avid reader, and I've always been an avid reader. I learned how to read when I was 3 years old. And, I really enjoy reading and I really get a lot of benefit from it. And I feel like it's a really good way in a non threatening way to deliver messages. And when you're talking about like topics like mental health and behavioral health, those topics have a lot of stigma associated with them. So I wanted to use my writing to help break down those walls and to shine lights on issues that I feel are important. And so that's why I started writing and started writing this particular series that I wrote.
That's awesome. And many writers have like a unique perspective that guides their craft. Like, how do you describe your approach to storytelling?
I just wanted, I would say that my approach is basically to use my characters to deliver my messages, to have their words and their experiences and their circumstances to help deliver my messages. And I've been told that my characters are very realistic. And what I want people to learn from my readings and my writings is that, we all fall down, but we get up. And everybody goes through something, even people who you think are not. Everybody goes through something. We all have ups and we all have downs. And I really wanted to use my characters to help deliver those messages.
That's awesome. And your story tackles some deeply emotional and challenging themes. Like, can you give us an overview of the revelation and what inspired this particular story?
Well, the revelation is the conclusion of my series. My first novel is The Anniversary. My second novel is The Commemoration. And my third novel is The Revelation. And it was just released in April 2025. And basically, what I wanted to do was to continue to follow my main characters, and that is Granville and Juliet Stubbs, who live in Cleveland, where I live, and all the things that they go through. Because one of my characters finds really disturbing information about his past that plays a real serious role in him having a severe mental health episode. And all that happens because of that. And so this is the conclusion of a story that has a whole lot of twists and turns. Very interesting, very, people say entertaining, but also educational as well.
Yeah, and life often, intersects in unexpected ways, like creating conflict, growth. How did you explore the impact of past trauma with the present for your characters?
Well, if I understand the question, you're asking me about trauma and how can I put that in there? Is that what the question is?
Yeah, like right now, you're saying that they are going through a lot in the volume one, like in the first, like how they can explore or, talk about all these traumas in the present right now in the last volume.
Well, in the last volume, what's very interesting is my story is set during the what we just went through with COVID. So there's a pandemic. What I really want is for my characters to really experience real life dilemmas. That's what we're all dealing with. And that's what they had to navigate and deal with too. And have all the other backdrops of all the other things that they're dealing with: an ill child, a relative who was a victim of human trafficking. So they're dealing with all of those different issues and navigating that through a pandemic, like we all did.
Yeah.
Life didn't stop because we had a pandemic. We still had to keep on doing things despite that.
Yeah, that's true. And did any of the characters come from a personal experience or real life?
I would say that as a writer, you're always going to find pieces of yourself and pieces of people in it. But what I want people to always know is that the characters are fictional. I made them up. Um, and again, based on all the people that I know, all the experiences that I've had in my years um, working and serving the public. Because even now, I'm a magistrate in family court, and I spend a lot of time with the community. So I pull little bits and pieces from everybody I meet and everybody I know.
Yeah, and the themes of resilience, redemption, love are central to the story, right? What do these themes like mean to you personally, and why were they essential for this book?
Well, I work in family court, which is for people who may not realize that is divorce court. And when you get married, you make a vow. It's my belief. Everybody has a different belief. You make vows before God. Um, and I just wanted to really explore, how much information should you give someone before you marry them? Some people want to know everything about you, and if they don't, and they feel you didn't tell them, they believe you lied. And that could be grounds for a breakup. Other people only want to know certain things about you. They don't want to know everything. I just really wanted to explore how we all have to give each other forgiveness, and you may need forgiveness too one day for something you may not have even realized that you did, but you still may need forgiveness. And I just really wanted to talk about relationships,
Yeah.
and that's what these books explore. They explore relationships, personal relationships, friendships, just relationships in general.
Yeah, because we all have those kind of stories, right? And stories often challenge readers to reflect on their own lives. Like, how do you hope readers connect with Juliet, like Melania's journey?
What I hope that my readers connect with and my audience is that many people, actually like 20% to 25% of our population, is dealing with the behavioral health issue. So that means either you, somebody in your family, or somebody is dealing with this, because that's like 1 in 4. And if you are dealing with some type of issue, to try to work with the people around you to get the support you need. People are often afraid of the stigma that they feel that they're going to receive. And if you just reach out for help, you actually may not receive any stigma. And there's groups and there are people and there are support networks out here that if you reach out for help, you can avoid tragedy. Because that's what my characters have to deal with because, of stigma.
Yeah, and also writing a book can be like both rewarding and difficult. What was the most challenging part of writing the Revelation?
It is really, really, really difficult to write a threequel. I realized that it took me a really long time. It took me longer to write that third book than it did the first and second. because you have to remember everything so that everything's consistent, so that your readers don't think you just let them down and just threw a bunch of words on paper. It has to be relevant, it has to make sense, it has to flow. And that's what, I wanted to make sure I did.
Yeah, and also every writer discovers something new along the way. What did writing this book teach you about like yourself or your craft?
It basically taught me that no matter what, I never quit. That it took me 5 years to write this third book, and I never quit. Every day I went forward, even though it was really difficult to push through and to get to the end. I did it, and I'm really proud of myself for that.
Yeah, yeah, and discipline and inspiration are a key like for authors. Can you describe a typical writing process routine when you're working on the book?
Well, what I do is I try to give myself a goal of writing for 15 minutes every day. And what I try to do is, if you think about something like the whole project all at once, is overwhelming. So what I try to do is to cut things down into bite-sized pieces. And I find that 15 minutes a day, even if I don't write today, tomorrow write for a half an hour. So that I basically just try to keep that 15 minutes a day. And I learned those techniques when I studied for the bar exam, which is a very difficult test.
Yeah. And also books have the power to move people emotionally. And what do you hope readers take away from the revelation?
Um, I do hope that people take away that love is always the answer. And that what we have to try to do again is to give each other forgiveness, understand that trauma plays a major role in people's lives. And, what's traumatic for me may not be traumatic for you. It really is independent and individual to that person. And we need to give each other grace more than we really do. We don't give each other the grace that we should. But I'm hoping that when people finish my novels, that they've learned a lot, that they enjoyed my character's journey, and that they can see themselves. And I'm sure they can, because I get lots of reviews. I believe that they can see themselves in my characters.
Yeah,
That's what I'm hoping.
in the other part, like writing also can be rewarding for you as an author. What has been the most rewarding part of being an author so far?
Being an author is like a second job for me because I have a career. It's been rewarding to be able to have a second career and to have something. I believe in Oprah's words. Oprah is somebody who influenced me when I was very young, and I used to love her book club. But one of the things she would encourage is that you have a bucket list, and I put writing a novel on my bucket list. I never thought that I would actually write three novels and a workbook, so I'm really, really happy.
Yeah, and what advice will you give to someone who wants to start writing but isn't sure where to begin?
Just start writing. Write what you think, write what you believe, write what you feel, write every day. Start thinking about a story. Another thing that I want to encourage people to do, I'm an independent author, but I really think it's important that if you're going to put out a product, you put out your very best product. So what you have to do is get the professional help. I'm a pretty bright woman, but I knew that I had to have help to write a novel. I had to have people who could copy edit, people who could give me developmental editing advice, substantive editing. Like you can't just put out garbage, so, or you damage your brand. So I just would really encourage people to get the help you need. Go to your local libraries. In my local community, which is the Lyndhurst South Euclid Library, we have a writing center with a very talented librarian there who is really dedicated to helping future writers.
That's awesome. And do you have like any tip any tips for authors to tackle sensitive or emotional subject matter responsibility?
I do believe that if you're going to write about a subject like behavioral health the way that I did, that you write to characters with dignity, that people need to understand that sometimes mental health, what happens is the way that it's portrayed plays a major role in this population being abused and neglected and treated poorly. You know, if there's a story about mental health, somebody did something because they had a mental health issue, the news will play that story. I think they said 7 times more. And then it gives a perception that people with the behavioral health issue are violent. And that very well may not be the case. When I worked in behavioral health, we could easily show that our clients were more likely to be victimized than to be a perpetrator. So when you write about this, you have to be really careful about how you portray people because, you know, again, you can damage a community by not being responsible.
Yeah, and lastly, like I know that many authors already have a new projects in mind when well promoting one book, but now you have three. And are you working on any new book or any new project that you can share with us?
Absolutely no, not yet. What I do, just so your readers know, and I would encourage them to please join my mailing list and to join my newsletter. I write a monthly newsletter. And actually, September is my 5th year anniversary of doing this, where I give tips about mental health and all kind of different subjects based on my expertise. Um, but I do plan to write a new novel. I do think it's going to be more in family court
Yeah,
next time with a
congratulations.
mental health twist because I'm a mental health. That's what I do.
Yeah, you're
So, you
always
know,
sharing.
divorce is one of the most traumatic things that can happen to somebody besides being a widow. It's number two of something that can happen to you that can really cause a lot of mental health issues. So, I do think my second book will be along that line, but I have not yet formulated it yet. It's just in my brain right now.
Yeah, yeah. Congratulations for your 5th year, and you're always sharing your knowledge, and thank you for that as well. And also, your readers will want to stay connected with your work and where they can find you online or follow.
Well, if they're gonna follow me on social media, you can find me by going to novelist JJ Winston. I also have a website which is www.novelistjjwinston.com. Um, my books are on Amazon. My books are on Barnes and Nobles. My books are pretty much anywhere you can buy a book. And I just wanted to, for the people who can see, just kind of hold up the newest book, The Revelation. Okay. But I do have the other two books. This is the first book, and that is the anniversary. And the second book, The Commemoration. And I just want to let people know that my first book was up for an Independent Author Network Book of the Year award. And then my second book won 2 Eric Hoffer awards. And I'm hoping my third book will win a bunch of awards as well. We'll see.
Yeah, of course. You did. You're a very talented author, and it has been a pleasure to having you on Authors Radio. And thank you for giving us a glimpse into your work and sharing your passion. And listeners, be sure to check her book. And thank you for tuning into Authors Radio, amplifying voices, inspiring the world. And join me next time for another inspiring conversation. In the meantime, happy listening.
Bye.